Hey guys, it's Ilana.
And Jonah.
And welcome to our first episode.
Seeing Other People. No, welcome to Seeing Other People. We're supposed to jump into the intro.
Am I too shiny? Is my light too bright?
You're not too shiny. Am I too shiny? I do have a little shine.
I mean, I want to be a shining star, but like not shiny. Hey guys, it's Ilana.
And Jonah.
And welcome to
Seeing Other People. There we go.
Wow, that's new.
It'll find its way after a couple intros. It took us on Dating Sucks, honestly, like episode 4 to crack that intro.
Do you remember the first episode we recorded, the only time we recorded in the studio, and I was so bad at it. Oh my God, I made us redo the intro like 40 times.
Yeah, I mean, I do remember that. And I remember being really frustrated because all good podcast, chemistry comes from not resetting, not stopping, and just being your organic self, Ilana. That's okay to mess up.
Hey, it was my first time, okay? Not all first times are romantic and glamorous and perfect.
We are still remote, but we are back in the Zoom. Ilana,
it's pretty phenomenal. We've actually been in person together this year like 3 times.
Fiscally speaking, that's correct. Yeah, fiscally speaking, we've only been together. I mean, we saw each other for that other pod. We did something else.
Including that. Ready? We hung out on Valentine's Day with a group of people as friends. We recorded the first episode, and then in like September, we recorded that other podcast, and that's it.
Yeah, but it's been such a quick year. Everybody, you're probably wondering, what's going on? What's happening here? What am I listening to? It's Ilana and Jonah, but it's not Dating Sucks. It's this cool new thing called Seeing Other People. And guys, this is going to be the juiciest episode of the Ilana Jonah saga you will ever hear.
Yet. There's a lot to look forward to, maybe. There will be more to hear. Don't you worry.
As Chris Harrison would say, it's our most, what's the word he uses? Our most
dramatic.
Our most dramatic season yet.
Our most dramatic season yet?
Episode.
Our most dramatic episode yet.
So guys, welcome to Seeing Other People. Obviously, it's our new dating podcast. Our mantra here is to provide entertainment and to be practical in our dating advice. And there's a lot we're going to be able to do now that we have this new platform. Same show, same project, same intention, same impact, but perhaps even more authentic and honest. And you get maybe even a more intimate look into Ilana and I's lives.
Definitely. We hope, I mean, the original point of doing all of this was for us to really help people through their dating lives. And look, we weren't dating experts before. We're not dating experts now, but we've had a lot of experiences. We've heard a lot of experiences. We've talked to a lot of people, done a lot of research, and we know that by talking about all of the things we've been through and talking to all of you and hearing what you're all going through, there is a way to help each other and remind each other that we're not alone in what we're feeling.
Quick shout out to our Facebook group, which has been really awesome. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. All the content's going to be going there. It is Seeing Other People podcast on Instagram. And obviously all those links will be provided on our link tree for our other ones. And the biggest, most exciting thing I think we're doing now is we have a little Patreon account. And just to give the quick 30-second pitch there, that is a monthly subscription ranging anywhere from $2, up. And there's fun things on there like our private bonus episode, our private AMAs. If you want to be one of our biggest patrons, you get on a text thread with Ilana and I, and we're there to give you dating advice whenever you need it. And
trust me, we have people who can vouch for this. Any text thread that you're on with the two of us is wildly entertaining.
Yes. And practical. I actually think there is a lot of value in, I wish I had someone I could just text on, what do I say? And what better than to have, 2 people who, in our case, know probably a little too much about being single and dating to help do that. So check out our Patreon if you want to support us in that way. And again, lots of bonus content, sweatshirt, hat, lots of fun stuff. But I want to get
also real quick, if you want to watch, if you're listening right now and you're like, wow, I miss seeing Ilana and Jonah and their faces. We have all of our episodes available on our YouTube channel, Seeing Other People podcast. So full length video and obviously like all the content clips that you all love. So find us on your favorite platforms, hit us up, hang with us. We're all friends here.
You'll be able to ask us questions if you are on our Patreon account. And at the end of this episode and every episode onward, we will answer 3 questions for the audience. But if you want to have your question answered, go to our Patreon, support us a little bit. But I think it's like $3 and you'll get your question answered on the show.
Yeah, you will.
Let's get into why we're all here, which is dating and romance and our story and what's going on with dating in 2020. And
what's going on with us in 2020?
What's going on? Well, I mean, I'll start there. You guys, Ilana, you're trying to go on I want to catch everybody up here. In case you guys don't know, Ilana and I first met. We went on a date and then we started a podcast together, and sort of a running joke, although not joke at all, of the podcast is people thinking that Ilana and I are either dating, going to date, that I like her too much, that she's, well, no one ever thinks that you like me.
Nope.
People are always like, Jonah is in love with you, or like,
yep.
You guys need to date. But guys, new show, new season. I think I'm currently holding the power card in this relationship right now. Ilana, you've confessed your love for me. People don't know this.
No, let's not exaggerate. I just
Tell the people the truth.
I suggested that perhaps we should go on a date.
Yeah, I mean, you did, and I didn't even. I thought you were like kidding, or I didn't even.
Yeah, and then like a month went by, and I'm like, okay, like I guess we're not going on this date that we said we were going to go on. Like I don't know. And then Jonah texted me that he matched with a friend of mine, and asked about her. I'm like, oh yeah, she's great. And then he was like, okay, like I think I'm going to take her out on a date. And I'm like, I like sat there for an hour, being like kind of like annoyed, and then I was like, wait a second, am I jealous? Uh-oh. So I like did the natural thing and texted him being like, I think I'm jealous, aka not natural at all. Nobody does that except for me. And I was like, I think I'm kind of jealous because I just sat here for an hour thinking about this and like being not that happy about it. And I asked him to, if it'd be okay if he didn't go on dates with people that I know. I got a text from you saying, hey, I think I'm jealous. Our texts always range from like business to like fun, random stuff to like then sort of serious relationship stuff, but they all teeter in the same boats. And you sent me this text that was like, yeah, I think I'm jealous about you and this person. Like, can you not go out with her? If that's okay. Like, you don't listen to me. And I was like, I don't have to go out with her. Like, I don't want to cause anyone any emotional. It's a waste of thought. Like to think that. Also, you know what? Hi, Skylar. She'll want the shout out. Hey, Skylar, what's up?
Skylar, what's up? But like, it's funny too, because in my mind, I never knew if you guys were even like, I know all your friends. I never even heard of Skylar's name from your friend circle.
Well, here's the thing. Actually, one thing that you don't know this, I don't think. We became friends during quarantine over like Instagram DMs. She reached out maybe sometime like April or May. I think May. Saying that she and her boyfriend of like a long time had broken up during quarantine, and she started binging Dating Sucks, and that it was like helping her, and she wanted to reach out because of that. So then we started talking about that, and then like throughout till like maybe like August or the beginning of September, when we were still like I was still home and like still super quarantined, we would just like text back and forth a bit. And then we ended up meeting for the first time in the beginning of September. And we just kind of were like instant friends once we met. But yeah, she was someone who was like more of a new friend, but I also knew that like we were becoming very good friends and that like it would be weird. But anywho, so I texted him that I was jealous and asked him to not go on a date with her. And then the next day I was talking to my best friend about it, and she was like, yeah, but like you can't really tell him who he can and can't date. I'm like, I know, but like I did say, like, you don't have to listen to me. I'm just like letting you know how I feel. And also then I sat there all afternoon being like, oh, like, am I an asshole? Like, should I take it back? So then I texted him saying, okay, I take it back. Like, I don't have a right to say who you can and can't date. And then he was like, okay. And then I'm like, so are you going to go out with her? And he's like, I don't know yet. And then I was like, okay, I take it back. Like, I'm upset now.
Well, I mean, look, at the time when that first happened, I was like teetering on like sort of seeing somebody like during this whole thing. And so I didn't think I was ever going to go out with her because we matched on the app and then we were talking and you got that text and I was like, okay, just too much going on there. Just avoid anything at all. Like, avoid
all the red flags of the situation.
Yeah. If there's one red flag,
Skylar, no red flags about you, but of the situation.
Skylar's lovely. Skylar's a really cool person. And I'm liking getting to know her through this perspective of your friend, but yeah, look, I think in terms of us and that whole thing, I just think it's a little bit funny and ironic given the timing of everything. And, maybe I've been waiting to sort of say this on the podcast because I think it's good juice. And one of the things you're going to get, audience, you guys are going to get a lot of this sort of like real shit talk that like is going to happen. But like, I don't know. I mean, we joke about going on a date and stuff, but I think it's tough for me because like I honestly, I mean this sincerely, like I do see you as a very close friend of mine. And so I'm not saying like we're just friends, but like that's the thing that's I think maybe been difficult for me to like honestly digest when I get those texts, or like when I'm like trying to read you, I'm like, does Ilana like me? I want to go on a date with me? Or has Ilana been single for a minute, realizes that like Jonah's a pretty good guy, and I want to like go on a date with I want someone to text and someone to like, I want somebody to like. I mean, I think you're really good at having somebody to like. And I mean that in a really in a positive way. Like,
no, you're right.
Ilana, you like having a crush. I mean, I've been on 1,000 texts with you with different people that are like your crush. And I was like, has the eye just caught me because like I'm pseudo unavailable and pseudo not interested in a way where it's like, because we're friends?
Well, I was asking myself that too. And all of my friends were asking me that. And I'm like, well, okay, but there's like sign A, sign B, sign C, sign D. Like, I just like, I didn't know. And I was like, well, maybe that's like why I want to like figure it out, but like, I don't know.
Well, people always say like, you and Ilana are going to get married. And I'm always like, she's like one of my best friends and like coworker. And I see her, I just see her on a different sort of level. And so
guys, he's literally rejecting me on air right now. What the hell?
No, it's right now. Look, it's a timing thing. I think it's like, had you said this to me, instead of sending me that long, great text that you sent me when we were, first talking, I probably would have been like, oh, I know, but that's like the crazy thing. And I hope people take away from this. Like, there's a lot of timing stuff going on. Like, I'm not rejecting you. I'm just saying in terms of like today, right now, that's where you're kind of at in my head, which is why I don't know how to react. I'm like, wait, she's my friend. Now she's telling me she likes me.
Well, no, I don't know if I do.
Okay, fair. That's fair. You don't know.
And today, right now, I'm not trying to go on a date with you. So I actually, then wait, hold on. Here's the missing piece of this.
God.
We planned to get drinks and then I canceled because I was like, you know what? This is weird timing. I don't think we should be figuring this out right now. Like everything is great with our friendship right now. Let's not like go down this road of like, who knows what ? So I canceled.
You did. And I mean, I think there was other reasons, i.e. pandemic, i.e. the big thing that's sort of difficult for us and why perhaps we would never work out is I live in Brooklyn, you live in Manhattan. And as we've established, that's a long distance relationship, which will come back.
It's a $45 Uber.
Right. That's one way. And then you could take the ferry, but like, actually, oh no, you're not very close to the ferry. I'm close to a ferry.
I'm 20 blocks from the ferry.
Yeah. So let's talk. We've talked. Obviously, this is going to be a relationship that probably takes ups and downs throughout this Seeing Other People project. So excited about that.
And if you didn't get the name thing, like, we're seeing other people.
We're seeing other people.
Yeah.
Sorry. How's your dating life been since dating sucks?
Like, I don't know. I mean, it's been interesting because we're still obviously like in quarantine and things have been getting progressively worse. I've been going back and forth between my parents' house and the city, which is an hour away. But like when I go to the city, like I'm in the city for anywhere from like a week to 3 weeks. And then that last week, something smells like it's burning.
Squarespace for all your internet needs.
Shut up.
Squarespace. Use code Seeing Other People for 10% off your Squarespace.
Shut up. I hate when you do that. Okay, guys, we're all good. There was a piece of toast in the toaster that was getting burnt. So as you can see, right now I am home with my parents.
Yes.
But yeah, so I've been going back and forth and like that. I mean, anytime I'm in the city, that last week I'm quarantining and then getting tested before coming home. And then I'm home again for like a few weeks. So it's really this back and forth where like nothing can really be consistent. And look, like I've gone on a bunch of dates with people. I've met people. I've like had little crushes, but then it seems like anytime I start to like someone or get to like a second or third or fourth date with someone, then it's like, oh, well, they are going somewhere warm for the next 6 months, or their apartment lease is up and there's no point in them renewing right now. So they're going to go home. And so that's what the situation I keep running into, but like it's too early in our dating shindig for us to actually like do like see it through long distance or like there's just no point because we're not there yet. So that's definitely been like disappointing because it's like, all right, well, like I keep putting myself out there. I keep trying. I'm doing all the right things and I just keep getting wrecked by the situation, which sucks because I have seen people get into relationships during this time. And also like I have a lot of friends who have been in relationships and they're moving in with their significant others. They're getting engaged. They're getting like adopting dogs together. Like that's what's just been happening all year. And so that feeling of like, I feel left behind is kind of like more and more. And it's like, well, like my friends are now living with their boyfriends and I'm back at home living with my parents half time. You know, it's weird.
Right. How does that make you feel? I mean, do you feel as if you are like more pressured to find somebody now, or are you sort of embracing the position you're in?
I switch off. Sometimes I'll go to the city and I'll have like 5 dates lined up because of like being home and being on apps and like I
Shooting
like started talking to people and then I just have a whole roster and I'm like, all right, gotta cross them off the list and see if any of them stick. And like
you called a roster because I was once criticized because I wrote in a script that this character who was a woman said she had a roster and someone gave me the note that women don't call their people roster.
Oh, we do.
I was like, what else would you call it? You know,
we do, but not in a way where it's like, oh, this is my consistent roster that I'm constantly going through. It's like, okay, here are like people I'm talking to. And like, I really am actively hoping that this list narrows down to one because I really am trying to find one person. It's not like, oh, I'm just going to like hang out with these 4 people every week and just like have all these different things going on. Like that's not me. But no, we do roster.
We call it a roster. We have a roster.
Yeah. What has your dating life been like?
Well, since we last left off the podcast, I don't want to I'm always about exposing my personal life, but I don't want to necessarily, expose anybody. But I was seeing somebody through like, summer through like sort of like very recently, honestly. And we sort of had one of those conversations where, it was a really positive experience. And again, I don't want to get into anything specific about it, but I think it's the problem with me, and maybe she listens to this and maybe she hears this. And again, it's different when I'm on a podcast. So there's an element of projecting and performance, but like I've sort of come to terms with the fact that I was so focused over quarantine on finishing my movie, which by the way, we finished. So you guys have heard me talk about the film. Film is now done and we're waiting to hear back from a festival and I'm trying to manifest this. I really hope we get into it. And I'm really excited.
Manifestival.
And we finished a couple of weeks ago. And so that's taken an enormous part of my life and focus. And I think I've come to terms, like I'm 30 and I think and I told you this over text and I was kind of serious, but like, I think I'm going to be like a late bloomer. Like I really like being single. And I think this is a theme that I'm trying to explore. And it's like, I don't know how to share myself with somebody because I feel like I'm using 100% of my power, like 100% of my focus and energy and like my career and my projects. And you want to be able to get to the point where you can share yourself with somebody. And I just don't know how to do that yet. And maybe you could say, well, you haven't met the right person yet. Because people are always like, when you know, and if it's the right person, there's always time for them. But then I'm like, it's hard for me to schedule stuff. It's hard for me to schedule time with others. I mean, it's just, and I don't know how to figure that out. And I'm just thinking, okay, I'm spending so much time thinking out, why can't I carve out a part of my life for this person when maybe I'm just not ready? So I've sort of like embraced that and I've become more comfortable with embracing that in terms of like, it's not that I'm like, I don't like sleep around or like have a bunch of people. I was seeing somebody. So this is all very fresh and new, but I don't know. I don't really know, but that's going to be while we're doing seeing other people. It's exploration of that. Because really during Dating Sucks, it would like help me after that process. I was able to then find somebody and like be with them for like, we dated for like 6 months. That's the most I dated someone in years since my ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
I look back, I'm like, wait, I've been seeing that person since June. And like, there was still a part of me that definitely didn't let down a wall or like just enable it to become something much more serious. But Dating Sucks was definitely helpful in terms of getting me that far along the process. So, you know, I don't know, but then I guess interestingly, compared to what you were saying, I haven't really looked at my friends and seen their thing. I think a lot of my guy friends are like single or have little flings throughout this.
Right.
Don't worry, Jesse is still single, in case you were.
Hi, Jesse. So am I.
Jesse is one of my best friends who I set a lot up with, and they kissed on Valentine's Day, I believe. Is that correct?
That is correct.
That is correct. And
damn.
Then I have friends who have had little flings, and I have friends who, who are married and friends who are together. I haven't really had any friends who have broken up, so I don't know. I'm excited to see. Here's the difference. In peak quarantine, I was living out in Long Island with my mom and my sister. Now I am living in Brooklyn, currently alone here. My sister is my roommate, but she's in LA. And yeah, maybe I'm going to wake up one day and be like, I cannot live in this apartment alone any longer. And I'm going to need to do the quarantine experiment, which is the quarantine relationship. Invite somebody into the bubble. We'll see.
We will see. One thing I wanted to bring up, which now obviously I'm blanking.
Of course.
Damn it. Oh, okay. Well, you said like what you learned from Dating Sucks and you were able to then like actually meet someone and be in a relationship. Like not necessarily what you learned from it, but like here's the thing, like we learned so much from doing that and from talking to our guests and to all of you who are listening. And I actually definitely realized like a change in my dating behavior from everything that I learned, which was really cool. I noticed I was starting to get into situations where like I'd be at a crossroads where, for example, like someone who I'd gone on a few dates with, who I was starting to like really develop feelings for and felt like I could see it going somewhere. He did tell me that like his lease was up and he was going to go to Florida for like the indefinite foreseeable future. And he had like maybe like a month or so left before he was going to go. And he was like, but like, look, like I obviously like you. And like, we've had a great time hanging out together and I'd love to keep seeing you if you want, like, we can keep going on dates and hanging out until I go. But like that's up to you. The ball's in your court. And like, we had a conversation about it. And I was like, I'm conflicted because like, of course, like I like you and I really want to keep hanging out, but also like, I know myself and it's going to end up being so much harder. And I've been in this situation before where like the situation hasn't like, it's leading down a dark path where it's not going to work out, or they say like, okay, well, like this can't happen because of XYZ reason. And in my head, I'm like, oh, well, like I'll just convince them to like end up liking me. And I end up in this position for like months and months. And I just end up getting so hurt because I can't let go. And I said that to him literally on this phone call while we were talking about it. And I decided to like sleep on it. He said like, ball's in your court. And, we ended up, I said like, we shouldn't do this because I am just going to get hurt.
Wow.
And it was like I felt really proud of myself, because it was the first time that I did something to protect my heart. And I've gotten myself into so many painful situations, and I feel like for the first time, I really took the opportunity to change the narrative. And that's something that I'm really proud of. And I do see myself continuing to do that. And also like practicing what we preach. And after like these dates that I'm going on, if I don't feel a connection, like I let them know. I send that anti-ghosting text that we talked about. I let them know that like, hey, I had a really great time and I'm glad that we took the time to meet each other, but I don't feel the romantic connection I'm looking for. And I've gotten a really positive response every time. And it sucks to like reject someone. It sucks to also go through that where like I'm hopeful and then I don't feel it. But I feel like I'm really like a better dater.
I think pre-Dating Sucks, Ilana would have kept going down that relationship hole without taking initiative and taking control, which is metaphorically speaking, a lot to sort of the same level of this whole podcast and new project, which is like us taking control. Like, sure, we both kind of got dumped, but now we've learned, okay, this is what we want to do and this is what works. I really love that story. And I think that's a really good segue to one of the things I think we want to do better on this season, which is provide our listeners with advice. And as we'll say many times, we're not experts. We will have experts on. But what do we have? We have thousands of emails, and we've heard everyone's concerns. So we're able to tell you if what you're concerned about is something that other people feel, and then what have they done? And we're able to just basically act as this sort of switchboard, I would say, like kind of like a operator. And so we have 3 questions from our listeners from season 1 that I brought over to the new show. And I'm going to read them out loud, and Ilana and I are going to provide you guys with the best friendly advice we can. So, question number 1. So I've been talking to this guy I met on an app like a month ago, on and off. At first, I wasn't super invested, especially since he was visiting his parents for most of the time. But I feel like my expectations have increased due to the longevity of the conversation. Also, when we talk, it's a lot of fun. I would say I've developed some strong feelings. Unfortunately, he is now back. Though we could meet in person. I'm not sure what he's thinking. Like at first, he seemed super interested, messaging me all the time, and that has really died off. Sometimes it takes even a day or more to get a response. I'm not sure. Also, how much should I be initiating getting together in the first place? I already have reached out a bunch of times to initiate conversation. Generally speaking, we have talked about meeting, but nothing is set in stone. On top of this, I get the feeling that there are many times he's reached out only to sext. So like, I'm not even sure if this is worth my time, or is he just looking for a fuck buddy? Like I am for something casual, but not sure what to think.
Okay.
So person, a lot of interest. Now they're back in the same town. The interest has died off. No set plans being made. Still talking now and then. She has to initiate conversations. Diagnosis. Those are the symptoms. What's our diagnosis?
I think it's a situation that a lot of people have found themselves in, where whenever like you're home with your parents and in a different environment, you kind of just like want that person to talk to. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of us ended up being that person to talk to. And when whichever person went back into their normal social environment, we kind of ended up, unfortunately, like falling off their radar of like priorities. And I think that could have happened, or like he also could have been talking to someone else and ended up seeing that person first, and then like being invested in that. I think there are a lot of different things that could have gone on, but I do think the nature of like the quarantine texting situation is that I think it's like 50-50 whether or not you'll end up actually meeting in person. I don't know about you, but there were a lot of people I talked to in quarantine for like a month or 2 who I never even ended up meeting.
Oh, 100%. There's like 5 people who I had intimate conversations with and who never met. And a lot of times there's just been like, just instant fallout where like you were clearly like, we all hit that moment of loneliness, or call it loneliness or boredom or whatever it is, but you just want to talk to somebody and they're the person in front of you. So you're like you're at the airport. We're all in like an airplane. They're sitting next to you on the airplane. You're going to have a little casual conversation, but then you get off the airplane, you're going to go your own ways. I got to say, and this is sort of 2.0, seeing other people specificness. In this situation, I would tell someone who's in this situation with these symptoms, stop. This guy is not good news. He might be using you just for the sex. He might be just bored. But either way, there's too many what we call just mini red flags. Not setting plans. If somebody wants to see somebody, they set the plans.
Yeah. And here's what I'll say. If you feel like you're in the situation where like you always have to text first and you've talked about plans, but they haven't been set and you're just like not sure, I think there's no harm in just saying like, okay, let's make a plan, or like, what night are you free? Because then, you know what, like they have to give you an answer that they're going to commit to spending time with you or that they're not. And yes, that's your answer.
By the way, I think a lot of times in this situation, this will be a running theme. It's never really about you or me. It's them going through their own other life situation.
Yep.
it's not that he doesn't like you. It's that who the fuck knows what's going on in his world, his life. And he's unfortunately not a good person to text, and he's bad at communication. That affects you, unfortunately. But I doubt he's thinking hypersensitively about his impact on other people over the messages, because our generation lacks empathy. Whole thing there. But simply saying, just swipe left, keep going.
On to the next.
Next question. I live and teach in a more rural area, and there aren't a lot of young people here. As a result, I end up dating people from other areas in my state. To me, distance has never mattered because I'm not married to my location, and I would gladly move if things got to that point. I've been on Hinge and other dating apps, set up through friends, and met people organically. However, I've had a lot of relationships that seem to be getting serious because of the distance. Getting to a serious end because of the distance. Sometimes after months of dating, after we've discussed the distance issue. So my question is, should distance matter? And how do I work through this with someone I'm trying to get to date? Does distance matter?
I think distance will matter until you find the person where you're both like, you know what? I don't care about the distance because I want to do whatever to make it work. And that's a take from my own experiences where I've ended up meeting people who literally live on the opposite side of the country, and we're like, we don't care. We want to try. And yeah, it hasn't worked. And partially that is because of the distance. And obviously a lot of other factors, but I do think if like these people maybe weren't right for X, Y, or Z other reason. And whether it was that you felt it or that they felt it, and like this distance was just like the easy thing to blame it on. I think maybe once you do meet that right person, like it really won't matter. What do you think, Jonah?
I mean, I think I've always wanted the distance conversation. I've never been one who could do long distance unless I was in like a year-long relationship and this person was going somewhere for a finite amount of time. I would do distance. Mm-hmm. She's an actress and she's going to do the new Lord of the Rings movie for Amazon. So she's moving to New Zealand for 6 months. I would do that because I love her and because
I'll go with her.
Yeah. But I think meeting someone who lives long distance and trying to get to know somebody long distance is probably more difficult. So that would be my advice. It's like, I think long distance works if there's a pre-established connection. I don't know if I would necessarily believe it or have seen the data to prove that it does work. And I'm probably wrong, but without knowing somebody. Hope that helps that person. So third question, here we go.
I'll do this one.
Great.
I've been texting/messaging a new man for the past month from Hinge, and this week we met up for our first pandemic date with a walk and a picnic in a local park. Side note, our texts have been very inconsistent on his end, sometimes taking days for him to respond. He was moving to my neighborhood, which contributed to the delay of finally meeting. I'd given him my number through Hinge as a push to see what would happen, and he waited a full week before he finally texted me. I also confronted him about his texting habits on our date, per your podcast advice. And he said he had a hard time with change and was very focused on his move and felt like that needed to happen before he could fully focus on me. Anyways, our date went super well. He told me at the end he couldn't wait to go home and tell his friends about the cute girl he went on a date with. Parentheses, a good sign, right? When he walked me to my car, he put the ball on my court and said he hopes to hear from me for a second date. The next day I texted him, letting him know my availability, and he responded by saying, I think I'm pretty busy for the next few days, unfortunately, so maybe next week. I responded by saying, just to let me know. I think my confusion is mostly how are you busy every single night when it's a pandemic? We're both working from home for our jobs, and we're both temporarily lost our second jobs due to COVID, so I feel like everyone should have more free time. Am I crazy? P.S. We followed each other on Insta before our first date, and he brought up different topics, bands I like, etc., on our date to have something to talk about. He watches all my stories, likes everything I posted since he began following me, and occasionally has DM'd me.
A lot of really good symptoms. A lot of really good symptoms on this one.
This is like the most typical quarantine dating struggle ever. I kind of laughed to myself reading that, like, we're in a pandemic. What's he doing? Jonah, I'll let you tackle this first.
I'll go in reverse order here. I have a lot of hot takes on this one. So first of all, let's just cross this off the list. We get the symptoms. We're going to diagnose it. We're going to go through those things. So followed each other on Instagram, and he watches your stories, likes everything you posted. and occasionally DMs you, that means absolutely nothing. And let's get this on the record here. There's this whole myth that guys will watch stories because they like girls. And I think it's different for depending on who you are, but 99% of the guys who I've talked to about this, it means nothing. They're bored, probably pooping, and going on Instagram, and it means nothing. Let's go back. Let's keep going. Both lost your jobs. Just because you have free time doesn't mean that you want to do something with it. I actually got into this new habit where like someone's like, do you want to go for a walk or go grab beers? You're not doing anything today. And I'm like, no, I'm doing nothing. And nothing is capital N. I'm doing nothing. I don't want to do anything. I want to do nothing. I want to just play on my phone on my bed and walk around my room and play with my stuff.
And watch my TikToks.
And watch Ilana's TikToks. And I don't think we can assume how free someone really is, because to have a date, to engage with someone, there's a whole mental mindset there. So maybe hasn't had the mental capacity to engage in that. Now, good for you for being upfront about the texting communication style. Love to hear that. Thank you for listening to our podcast. Now, I'm just going to give my blunt advice. This isn't going to work out. Again, not you, not anything to do with you. It's whatever's going on in their life. But clearly it would be more obvious if the signs are there and you think that it should be going differently. And it sounds like you're sort of writing this and you're sort of making excuses. Oh, how are we both not having any free time? And he likes my stories, but he still doesn't talk to me. It's as obvious as it always looks. It's not that he doesn't not like you. It's just perhaps there's not the agency or the urgency to take it beyond that point. Ilana, your thoughts?
So here's my thing. I do think his reason for like being busy with moving and having to like settle down with all that before actually investing and focusing on you, I think that's very valid, and I think that's mature that he said that and made that open. Granted, you did have to ask for him to give you that answer. It would have been great if he said it up front. Also a little weird that it took a week for him to finally text you. But again, maybe he's just like not a big texter and just like wanted to wait until it was time to plan. I don't know. I do think, like Jonah said, like there are like a bunch of excuses, which like nothing against you. Like I make excuses for everyone. We all do it. But it's almost like once you get to that point where it's like you're trying to always justify their behavior, I think that's always a sign that like it's not going to work out. But I will say, because I am someone who is usually like the biggest texter. I love texting. I will text people just to text, even if I have absolutely nothing to say to them. I will text anyone if I'm bored. I love texting people that I have a crush on. I've gone in some weird phases in the last few months where I will let my text build up and I'll have like 60 unread messages. And usually like if I have one unread message, like I read it, I respond to it. I've gone into this like weird phase that I've never been in before, but like on and off, like I'll do this for a week or two at a time where I just will be the world's worst texter. And whether it be like someone I'm like seeing or a friend or my roommate or Jonah or like someone I just started talking to from a dating app, like I literally like won't respond for like, or like I'll respond like every other day. And I'm like, I'm such an asshole right now, but like, I just don't care. I just like don't.
Wait, hold on. You're not an asshole. No one has to respond. What is this? What is the limitation? Just because you get a text doesn't mean you have to respond to it. I think it's a ridiculous expectation.
But I know, like, I do think of the other person on the other side of this and how I feel when someone isn't responding to me. And like, what if they're sitting there waiting for my text or wondering if I lost interest because I haven't responded? And like, I feel bad that I'm doing that to someone, but then I'm like, oh, like I just can't.
But why do you
right
care
now.
so much what they think or feel? I mean, it's not like it's. I
don't want to be mean.
It's not being mean. I don't think it's ridiculous that people think we're being like, and I've been on both sides too. Obviously, I've waited for people to respond, but I was like, look, just because you get a message in your phone, just because someone is free in the moment to send a message, doesn't mean that you need to be free in that moment to send a message. I would say, yeah, if you go a week without texting somebody back and they ask you a question and they are your friend, you need to respond or pick up the phone and call them. But like, I think we need to get this universal theory out there that there is no expectation. Just because you text someone does not mean they have to respond. It's ridiculous.
But
why should like?
Because it just shows that they care. I really think like a timely response shows that the person cares and like that you matter to them.
What? But that's assuming your phone is charged. It's in front of you, and you can, like. I guess like.
When is it not? When is it not?
I have like 60 unread texts, and it's because like honestly, I'm either on Instagram or I'm typing on the computer, and if I'm not at the computer in active communication mode, I'm not going to respond to that text possibly for hours. So it's like, and I hate that we have this expectation that you got to respond.
But you have to.
I don't disagree. I think I think it's case by case. If you're flirting with somebody, if there's like an element of like courting, then there's like all these different rules. I agree. I think in general, we should never get mad at someone or put pressure on someone on responding maybe give them like 5 days, 5 business days is like, but I'm saying like, if you text someone out of the blue, like I guess I'm saying before you judge, right? We don't know. Who are we to judge that this person didn't respond for a week? You never know what's going to happen. You never know if it gets lost, if they forget.
That's the thing. Also right now, like we're all going through so much stuff where it's like, I never expected I'm literally playing both sides of this right now. I don't know what I believe. But I never expected myself to be a bad texter. So then like when I suddenly stop responding for like a few days, or I'll like respond like once a day, my friends are like, are you okay? And I'm like, honestly, I'm just like having a week.
Yeah. I would just like be like, I've become, it's also the vernacular you build with your texting people, right? So like, I've just become hyper efficient. As my friend Jabuki on White once said, texting is for making plans. That's all it's there. Like, that's what texting should be for. It's to make plans. Yeah. Well, I hope that provides listener 3 with some sort of advice, but my general ballpark is, again, it's not that they don't like you and it has nothing to do with you, but, and we don't need to judge them, but I don't think it's going to work out in the way we want it to based upon these symptoms. I would just move on from any expectations we have. And
again, remember for everyone listening, like this is for everyone, not just for the person who wrote this email, because we all I can probably name like 8 friends who are going through this situation right now.
Exactly. So, that's why we do it. So you hopefully hear a little bit yourself on these. And also I would say that the take of it, like, if you really want that answer, there is always the ultimatum, which is, hey, I just want to check your headspace if this is something that you feel you want to continue. Because you could because unfortunately what we're doing is assuming, and I don't want to give the advice that she should stop talking to this guy in case all these things are real and you never know what someone's going through.
Yeah.
If you really do feel like you had a connection, the best thing to always do is just be like, hey, I just want to get a sense of where your head's at. And just get the answer from him or her.
Yeah. Jonah, do you want to tell everyone what our new dating term of the week is?
Yes, I do. So every week we're going to give you guys a dating term of the week. I love this one. This term is called window tapping. And window tapping is the term that is described. It's the term. It's that thing where you like 5 to 10 pictures of someone's Instagram. I should say in chronological order, or I guess sporadic, but not too far back, as a way to draw their attention, as a way to have them notice you. So, you ever pop open Instagram, and you're like, who's this random person who just liked 6 of my photos? That's window tapping. It's a way to get someone's, because then you're going to click on their profile, and it's kind of like a little bit of a wave or a wink, I would say. It's like if you're on the street and someone just kind of raises their hands and says hi, like it's that kind of thing. Ilana, have you ever window tapped somebody?
Honestly, I don't think so. Have you?
Yes, of course. Yep. After someone started doing it to me, I was like, oh, I can do this. And I'll just go and like 5 pics and see.
Did it work?
Yeah, I think eventually we followed each other and maybe had a couple DMs, but like, it's not like I'm in love with this person. I don't even remember who it was, but certainly it's happened.
I'll try it out and I'll report back.
Oh my God, please do. Okay. So next episode, you're going to report back on your window tapping.
Yeah, maybe not next episode. We'll see. Okay. I have to figure out whose window I want to tap on first. I can't just randomly select a victim.
No, no random window tapping. Anyway, guys, we kept you here long enough. We're excited to be doing this again. And every week we'll have a new episode. Obviously, a ton of bonus stuff on the Instagram. And of course, all the goods on the Patreon.
Yes.
Ilana, where can they find us again?
At Seeing Other People podcast on Instagram, on YouTube. We're at Seeing Other People on TikTok, and we are at Seeing Other People's PPLS on Twitter because they didn't let us do the whole thing because of a limited character count. Classic Twitter, but it's okay. It's okay. And I am at Ilana.Dunn, and Jonah is at Jonah Feingold.
That's right. I'm at Jonah Feingold, and we really appreciate you guys listening to us, trusting us. We hope these opinions, they're our own, and we're not experts, but we hope you take something away from them. And thank you for listening.
We're so excited to be back together with you guys.
Very stoked.
That was the most annoying voice ever. I'm truly sorry about that. I apologize to everyone's ears. Okay,
Bye,
we'll see you
everybody.
next week. Bye.